The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that can.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see your access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
If you've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population, this place absolutely outshines it.
It's Thursday, the 9th day of July, 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we're able to pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman. How's everyone feeling today? It is Friday, Junior, the second last day of the traditional work week. Hopefully you all have had a great one so far. Another hot one. I don't know if it's me, but summers seem like they're getting hotter and winters seem like they're getting colder. And then there's no in between in like the spring and fall, it seems. And everyone knows fall's the best season of the four, right? Like autumn is just out of this world, the best. But maybe it's just me. But it just seems so I don't know, unique the way the weather works now, just hotter than hot. Suzanne Ingham says, good morning, Jamal. It's a super awesome Thursday to be in the TDH house. Yeah, thank you. A great morning to you. James Burgess says, good morning to the Daily Hour team show. I'm watching and listening to your guests. Have a wonderful Thursday and a great Thursday to you as well, James. Nicole Hassel says, facts, you are so correct. Yeah, it just seems like summers are getting hotter and hotter and winters are colder and colder and it's like no in between. Yeah, seems right. But all right, folks, well, greetings everyone and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Protecting Bermuda's reputation one ride at a time. Well, we're joined this morning by the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Transport, Culture and Sport, Owen Darrell today. As you know, we've had a situation with a cab driver recently and then this post that went viral a couple days ago on the Norwegian Cruise Line page involving a minibus situation. So the Honorable Minister is joining us to provide some clarity and just tell us, what's going on and take your questions about these things because, look, Bermuda has enough trouble attracting people to the island right now. We don't need any more problems. So we'll find out what the ministry is doing about all this. The Daily Play is a Name That Place today, all right? So don't forget to go on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. So, folks, Judith Welch, I don't know if you're in the audience today, but Judith Welch, everyone, shout out to Judith Welch. Months ago, she wrote to us and she wanted the conversations to continue be on the show. And I promised you all that we were updating our website. Our website has been undergoing some serious renovations over the last year. One of the reasons is kind of like how our news websites, local news websites in Bermuda, we wanted you to be able to comment and take the conversation beyond the show and keep it going and hopes that, the decision makers will see some of your perspectives and your vision for Bermuda. Well, if you go on our new website, you will see a part where it's got monologues, and the monologues under there, you can comment and share your piece and you can continue the conversations that we have on this show. Now, the website's still under construction. It's not quite complete yet, but we are making progress. So you can go on the site at any time and just continue the conversation. So again, thedailyhour.com. monologue, today's monologue and yesterday's monologue. The latest monologues are not up yet, but we'll get today's and this week's monologues up so that you all can engage about them. But here's today's question. Speaking about today is, yesterday we had someone mention the Minister of Education, Diallo Rabane, being reappointed. And the question today is, what do you hope Minister Diallo Rabane does differently this time around? What do you hope he does differently this time around? Now, as mentioned previously, last week, as part of his cabinet reshuffle, Premier David Burt reappointed Diallo Rabane as Bermuda's Minister of Education. Now, if social media is anything to go by, the reaction has been mixed at best. Many people have questioned why Minister Rabane was brought back to a ministry they believe he failed to fix during his previous time in the role. Others have taken a view. They've said this is actually an opportunity for him to finish what he started, learn from the mistakes of the past, and prove his critics wrong. Now, whichever side you fall on, one thing is hard to argue. Education is probably one of the toughest ministries in government. Every parent has an opinion. Every teacher has an opinion. Every student has an opinion. Every employer has an opinion. And they should, because education impacts every single one of us. The students in our classrooms today will become tomorrow's workforce, business owners, healthcare professionals, tradespeople, and leaders. It's imperative for us to get education right. The reality is this, though. If fixing education were easy, the many education ministers we've had over the past 2 decades would have solved it by now. They haven't. That tells me that this is bigger than one minister. It's bigger than one government. It's a systemic challenge that has frustrated successive administrations. That doesn't mean ministers shouldn't be held accountable. They absolutely should. But it also means we should recognize the scale of the challenge they're inheriting. Now, Minister Rabane has another opportunity. Whether he served before isn't the question to be asked. The question is whether he'll do things differently this time. Has he learned from his first tenure? Will he approach reform differently? Will he bring people together? Will he build greater confidence among parents, teachers, and students? Those are the questions we want answered. At the end of the day, I don't think Bermudians care who gets credit. They simply want an education system that prepares our young people for the future and gives them every opportunity to succeed. So again, this morning's question, audience, what do you think Minister Diallo Rabane should do differently? What do you hope he does differently this time around? What do you hope Minister Diallo Rabane does differently this time around as Minister of Education? Give that a thought. We'll take a quick break and come back and continue the conversation.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Alrighty, folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. All right, what do you hope Minister Diallo Rabane does differently this time around? If you haven't been paying attention, basically part of the Premier's cabinet reshuffle, he reappointed Diallo Rabane as Minister of Education. Public reaction has been mixed. Some folks have seen it as a step backwards. You've seen some in the media saying that the Premier doesn't care about our students. Others see it as an opportunity to finish the job. I think if we're honest, we've had probably over 10 education ministers, probably between 10 and 15, if not more, over the last 20 years. This is not something that comes down to one person, right? And I think if we all truly want our education system to work, we've got to understand the task at hand. And understanding the task at hand means that anyone who comes in is going to need as much help as they can get. Now, that means that the minister, whoever that may be, needs to be receptive and understand that as well. But here's your poll question. Do you agree with Urbain's reappointment as Minister of Education? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you agree with his reappointment as Minister of Education? But again, what do you hope Minister Diallo Urbain does differently this time around? What do you hope he does differently? So many people have complaints and really don't like him as the Minister of Education. But what do you hope he does differently? If that's the case, what do you hope he does differently? What is it that you think he didn't do right the first time? I'll tell you what. One thing I hope he does differently is, I'll use the West End primary situation and Somerset primary. Resolve problems before they become problems. Meaning, that situation could have been handled so much differently. And I know that's not about curriculum or improving education overall, but that's a situation that was so avoidable. Engage people in a better way, meaning people feel like education minister just does as he pleases and doesn't engage, doesn't want to, there were times where not showing up to meetings or so on. Like, so with the school changes, explain to people where they are. I'll give you an example. So when the late Nelson Bascom passed and we were in the room and we were voting on who would replace him to run as an MP, Michael Weeks done something very differently from the rest of the candidates that night. I'll never forget. Everyone came in and gave their spiel. They stood up in front of the room. And Michael Weeks sat down. And he said, the reason I'm sitting is because all of you are sitting. And I want you to remember that I am one of you. And I think that's where ministers need to have some humility. I think that's where they need to understand that they have to get the audience to remember that they are Bermudian too, that they may have children in the system, they have family in the system, that they are one of them as well. If the Urbain can approach it as if I'm a regular Bermudian, that's something I hope he can do differently. But what else, audience? Because you all were very opinionated about Minister Urbain. And again, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the reappointment of Diallo Urbain as the Minister of Education. Again, public reaction has been mixed. According to the media, some people see it as a step backwards and that the Premier doesn't care about our students. Others see it as an opportunity for the Honorable Minister to get in and finish the job. This is not on Diallo Urbain as Minister of Education. This has been one of Bermuda's biggest policy challenges for decades. We've had a ton, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure we've probably had more education ministers than any other ministry over the last 20 years. If I guarantee you, we probably have. We probably have had more education ministers since the turn of the century than any other ministry. So it's not down to one person. We have to ask ourselves, is the problem the actual minister or the system? And if it's the system, then we need to remove our politics and, regardless of who the minister is, all hands on deck to try to fix this. We also need to determine what success looks like for our children. Is it better student outcomes, greater accountability, improved communication with parents and teachers, stability in the system, successful education reform? What does reform look like? What lessons should Minister Urbain take from his previous time in the ministry? Should education reform be less political and more collaborative? Is this a stopgap? Regardless of who wins the next internal PLP leadership election, will this minister only have a few months to do whatever the plan is. What are your thoughts? What do you think, or what do you hope Minister Diallo-Rebane does differently this time around? And folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. And fill out the poll. The poll question is, do you agree with Rebane's reappointment as Minister of Education? Well, only 25% have said yes so far. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says he's too arrogant, doesn't listen. Well, that's harsh. That's very harsh. Nicole Hassel says, I actually believe I think she means Rebane, will do better this time around. Well, I hope so. I absolutely hope so. We've got Brandon Thompson says, good morning. All the ministers have used basically the same approach. Why have they not looked at getting foreign teachers in certain areas? In the schools, this friends, political, and family stuff has to stop. Why haven't the education minister, or hasn't the education minister, explained why the private schools are doing better? Is it the level of teacher expertise that's really lacking? I think that's unfair. The comparison of private schools is very unfair because we have to be honest. And a friend of mine who's an educator always said this to me. Public schools take everyone. Private schools don't. And so we don't look at things as averages and median, right? But private schools can dictate exactly what kind of students they want, and that shapes numbers in terms of success when it comes to grades. Whereas public schools literally have to take everyone. So it can be, you can have thriving students in public schools, but few students who are not academically inclined, don't have the necessary support beyond the school, may pull that down. So I don't know if that's apples to apples comparison. Charles H. Duffus II says, winning an election/popularity contest doesn't make one the smartest in the room, especially if it's in an area that one doesn't specialize in. With that, listen to the experts and the research. And that would be the hope. That's Charles H. Duffus II's hope for Minister Diallo-Rebane this time around. Listen to the experts. Yeah. We've got Sandra Mello says, bringing Rebane back to education is a slap in the face to every public school parent. This government doesn't care about our children. They are concerned about pushing their own agenda. You know, when I did read, I don't know what platform I read it on. I read that the premier is focused on delivering on the government's agenda, which is their platform. You already know, if you've been tuned into this show for years, and you'd know from this week, I don't agree with that. Platforms have to evolve. The platform you had in 2024 is not necessarily the same one you need in 2026. At that point, it becomes more about fulfilling something that the government wants to do rather than what's best for the public. So I see your point, Sandra Mello. However, I'm trying to look on the bright side, and I'll tell you why. Someone said it to me yesterday. They said, you know what? They might have said it in the comments here. Maybe Diallo-Rebane returning, he's learned from his first tenure and can do things better. We can hope for that, right? Or maybe, am I being naive again? You all think I'm being naive. Michelle White says, I'm torn. I understand the logic that he is familiar with David Bert's plan, but will Diallo-Rebane remain when it's fully executed or after new leadership? And that's the hope, right? We hope that these are not temporary fixes to just deliver something for Premier David Bert before he's gone later this year, right? Sandra Mello goes on to say, anyone that thinks he will do better now is deluded. Just have a conversation with a teacher in the system. So basically, I mean, I didn't think he would do better. I hope he would do better. But again, maybe I'm deluded and be naive. I hope he'll do better. That's the best we can do, right? We can hope for things, right? I don't know. You all are harsh on me, man. We've got Brandon Thompson says, we have the wrong combination in play. If it's truly a good education we seek in, then we must look at the teacher closeness to families and friends locally. That's become a real problem. Okay. We've got Dorian says, Minister Rebane failed our kids during his first tenure, and now he's given us a second chance to try it again at our children's expense. We need to ask why David Bert reappointed him. Well, I mean, we can draw our own conclusions, about why David Bert reappointed him. But I would love to, and I did reach out to the Minister of Education yesterday. I'd love for him to come on and engage you all. He hasn't responded yet, and I don't think it's any badness. I think he's just probably busy. But I would like to know, from him, and I would love him to engage all of you about his plans to move forward with whatever the agenda is and how he believes he can use his first tenure as an opportunity to improve things this time around. At the end of the day, I think all of us want one thing. We want better for our children. How do we get there? I think that's where we differ. We've got Trent7711 says, time to shake up the team that reports up to him. Maybe it's the consistent people in those roles that need to be evaluated. Well, I did see that there's a commissioner of education position available. I think that's like one of the positions you're talking about, but I think that's available. So maybe, some of you problem solvers or people with the answers can go apply for that. And I really do, when I say that, I really do hope those who are passionate and care and have an understanding of education go in. I hope you all are able to go and change and help this system. We need it. Seriously, we education is the backbone. It's the foundation for everything in our community. If we don't have a proper formal education system, success is really, really going to be hard to achieve. It really is. And that's for, whether you have a student, a child, or a family member in the public education system or not, it will impact us all some way. Haile Merriam says, yep, you're being naive. Yeah, I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful. I don't want to come on this show mornings and just be negative and be like, oh, he's back in his position. It's going to be crap. No, I want to be hopeful. And I hope that my hope leads to results that we as a community desire. Michelle White says, yep, private schools choose, but how many parents with challenging children try to join private schools? They have smaller classes. Some funds are available. Charles H. Jefferson II says, education portfolio is a political hot potato that nobody wants. I believe your guest today is the only cabinet minister who has taught. I hope he has a voice louder than others in cabinet about education. Oh, okay. I didn't even consider that. That Owen Darrell, the Minister of Tourism, Transport, Culture, and Sport, probably is the only educator in cabinet. Y'all got me thinking now. I wonder if he would be Minister of Education. I mean, you never know. All right, folks. Final results from the poll right now is, do you agree with Rabain's reappointment as Minister of Education? Only 20% of you, only 20% have said yes. That's not good. But hey, I don't know what to say. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, after talking to the teachers, I don't have any confidence in him. Speaking of Minister Dale Rabain, that's unfortunate. Well, we've got Lakeith says, there was a time when the people marched and fought to have their voices heard. I've read and heard many people's discontent with education, but when will the people rise up like the Labor government of old? Otherwise, what's the plan? I lost faith in people standing up when I was fighting conscription because it showed me how indoctrinated people were and how politically tied we were. However, I give a lot of props to the West End Warriors. The West End Warriors and Out Bermuda, are two groups in recent times who have stood up and pretty much gotten close to what they want. Now, Out Bermuda never got the marriage thing they wanted, but they've made progress in many areas. The West End Warriors refuse to back down. So I think there are still elements of our community who do stand up and fight, but for the most part, I think, look, You know the old divide and conquer, right? I think people have figured out how to keep people in their place, right? So what you do is you hire a specific group, a certain number of a specific group. You give them, put them in overpaying jobs, right? You give them jobs and overpay them. They get all these trinkets and they're able to buy a house. And so you do enough to keep them quiet. You do enough where they're not going to fight back or speak up or, answer back. And they start to say things. Well, I don't have those problems. In my office, people don't even know what's going on in Bermuda. Like, that's a large amount of the group that are like a chunk of them that are taken away from wanting to fight back. So when we speak about people no longer fighting back and standing up for causes, that's because those in charge of the system, the overseers, know what they have to do to maintain control. That's it. I mean, I know it's a hard pill to swallow for anyone who is going into an office right now and, they're got this really nice job, no health insurance deduction, and they have the nice house that they've always wanted. They have it all to them. At what expense? And that's our reality. It's not a shot at those people, but that's just how they were able. They saw this coming. They saw what happened in the 70s and 80s when Bermudians were marching and fighting back. They said, we've got to do something. It's systemic. It's a system. I know it's a hard pill to swallow because it's like when we were fighting conscription. No black male wanted to know that he had an enslaved mindset, that he was conforming, because we're supposed to be tough and we don't want to. I'm doing this because I want to. No, you're doing it because you were told to. You're doing it because the system says if you don't, we're going to punish you. So it's enslavement of another kind, and people don't want to hear that. That kind of truth hurts. It hurts, but I'm here to make us think. That's just where we are as a community. It's a reason why you can always pick one or two people out, like a Tyler Perry. The name we used to hear when the OBA was in power 2012 to 2017, Patrick Tannick. There's a reason you can only pick few. That's how the system, it's always like the Oprahs, right? They pick one or two, and then they make you believe if you work hard, you too can achieve that. That's not how it works. And we've got to stop lying to ourselves, our children, and our community. Yeah, tough pill to swallow. There Jamal goes being grumpy and miserable again. But if the truth makes me miserable and grumpy or whatever you want to call me, so be it. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And this is why I love what I do, because you all are too intelligent to continue to allow this to happen. So lucky, otherwise, what's the plan? The plan would be to do what those who came before us done. Sacrifice. But we have to ask the question, are our children worth sacrificing for? Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Let's show some love to Titan Express and Secure. Then we'll go to give you a days of the year and go to our commercial break. Don't forget, we've got a very important conversation coming up with the Honorable Minister, Owen Darrell, after this break. Stick with us.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural experiences, they set the standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you.
All righty, folks, I got to give you a days of the year, don't I? Days of the year. So it's July 9th. Actually, it's my uncle's birthday today, July 9th. Hey, Uncle Fred, Alfred Hartman. It's his, well, I don't know what number. I don't think I could tell you all that. He's like in his 70s. But before we do that, before we do the days of the year, I've got some exciting stuff to tell you. And I told you already, but Christmas in July on the Daily Hour. Starting Monday, we've teamed up with Bermuda Trivia, People's Pharmacy, Lindo's, Auto Solutions, and Bermuda Pest Control. We're going to be giving you all prizes. Winning is easy. All you have to do is tune into the Daily Hour every day starting next week. Listen for Christmas in July hashtag of the day. Then post it. in the comments for your chance to win. All right. We're giving away gift cards. We're giving away trivia games. We're giving away car washes. We're giving away vouchers. Trust me, Christmas is coming early on the daily hour. So again, listen, comment, and win. Starting on Monday. All right. So we want to make sure we're rewarding and thanking you all for your support of everything that we do. All righty. Christmas in July, don't forget, starts next Monday. All righty. Days of the year. Oh. It's National Sugar Cookie Day, but it's Fashion Day. I want to ask you all, because, you all turn Cotton Match into a fashion show, right? When it comes to fashion, and I want the men to answer as well, what is your favorite piece of clothing to wear? Your favorite, women as well, obviously, but what's the favorite piece of clothing to wear? Favorite clothing? Is it shorts? Is it a bathing suit? It's Fashion Day. It's Fashion Day around the world. Your favorite clothing to wear? Me, I'm gonna say, I hadn't thought about that. I'm just gonna say a t-shirt, a plain black t-shirt, because it can go with anything. And it doesn't require much effort. So a plain black t-shirt. That's my favorite piece of fashion. And you all saying, Jamel, you are so boring. No, it is. A plain black t-shirt. Now, I know some people are going to be, jeans, denim jeans, or some people may even say a wife beater. But no, a plain black t-shirt, because it doesn't require much effort. Charles says, anything blue, not red. Okay. I see where you're going with this one. I see where you are going with this. Dr. Anthony Richardson says linen trousers, brown sandals. Okay, I like the combination. We've got Mark Arthur says sneakers. You know I love my J's. All right. I only became a sneaker person recently. I prefer, as far as comfortability, Air Max. But yeah, I'm going to say a black t-shirt. Just simple black t-shirt. I remember the first year of this show, the entire first year of this show, all I wore was black tees. Black tees, leggings, says Tarika Dillis. All right, folks. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back after this break. We've got the minister. Now, we've had a lot of conversations in the public recently about there was a cab driver situation with a passenger that was shared on social media a couple of weeks ago. And then this week, we saw the issue that happened with the minibus driver. The Honorable Minister is coming on. We're going to be discussing these things. And folks, get your questions ready, your comments. I'll get through as many as possible. But hopefully by the end of this conversation, we'll have an understanding of what's expected of those who represent Bermuda in these spaces and what's being done to improve on the behaviors that we've seen. All right, do not go anywhere. We'll be back with the Honorable Minister in a short minute. Stick with us.
Guess what? Bermuda's most popular game is back. That's right, Shoe Buy is back in stores. But wait, there's more. The brand new Shoe Buy Summer Edition is here too. Bring the laughs, the vibes, the friendly chaos to your barbecues and summer get-togethers with Bermuda's favorite game. Don't miss your chance to get yours. Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on social media to learn more.
One Lucky Bucks in the summer edition has a golden ticket with the chance to win a grand prize courtesy of One Communications.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast, so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It. Freshness at your doorstep. Delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Class of 2026. What's your next chapter? University overseas? Bermuda College? Or your first job? HSBC Bermuda can help you start strong.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Open an HSBC Bermuda bank account and receive a $100 gift card from a local retailer or Amazon.com. And every successful referral receives a $50 reward. Hurry! This limited time offer ends July 31st. Apply online at hsbc.bm/nextchapter, and within 2 business days, an HSBC team member will guide you through the final steps. Terms and conditions apply. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
You wanna come get some? Playing around, playing around. I got that juice, I got it, no doubt.
Ever taken medication and thought, why is this hitting me so hard? Or why isn't this doing anything at all? Here's something you may not know. Your body processes medication the same way it needs to process food, using enzymes. And these enzymes metabolize medication so it can be converted into its useful form or removed from your body. Pharmacogenetics looks at how your DNA influences the way your body metabolizes or breaks down medications. It helps explain why a drug that works well for one person causes side effects in another and barely works at all for someone else. That means the same pill at the same dose can feel very different from one person to the next. It's not about blame, it's not about doing something wrong, it's simply biology. And once you know what works best for you, medication decisions stop being guesswork and start becoming personalized.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Jamel Hartman here. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical Host Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to a Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. I asked you all your favorite, fashion, and we got Suzanne Ingham says, exercise pants and PJs, pink and barefoot. All right. And then we had someone chose to use profanity on the show this morning, so excuse my language. Sherilyn Johnson says red and blue sundress. I agree with Charles H. Jefferson II. He says that would be fine before or after July. Indeed, folks. We've got the Honorable Minister Owen Darrell just backstage. We're going to give him a couple seconds to get ready to come in. But I know you all have been paying attention to what's going on with the public service vehicle situation. And many of you had comments and questions. And so we're going to talk about it. A lot of people have talked about standards, but let's give a warm TDH welcome. Let's welcome the Honorable Minister Owen Darrell onto the show. Oops, that's not what we want. He's not Cinderella. Here we go. All right, greetings, Minister. Oh, all we can see is.
There you go.
There we go. Much better, Minister. We want to see your face. We definitely want to see your face.
Yes, there we go.
So, first off, happy Thursday to you. It's Fashion Day. I got to ask you, as far as fashion, what's your fashion choice?
Well, listen, it is Connie game season, and you always have to start with blue and white. So if you start there, we're good. This time of year, there should be no red in your wardrobe.
Yep.
So that eliminates all Bayless Bay fans.
No.
There should be, you asked me to answer. There should be no yellow in your wardrobe. That eliminates St. David's fans. Yeah. And because I've already eliminated red, then that should eliminate Somerset fans as well. So on the 18th, them boys from Harris's Bay, Cleveland County, will go on to St. David's to retain the trophy. So I'd like to start my morning with that. And any fashion that goes around blue and white is good to me. So I'm properly attired this morning. What you say?
I see that. The minister chose violence this very early morning, folks. He definitely brought his Cleveland County. They got the collars on. Nice collar suit, by the way. Nice collar suit.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to your listeners.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for stopping by. Real quickly, before we get into today's conversation, I think it was Charles H. Jefferson II. He said that you were the only minister who was a former educator. Is that true?
I think it is the case. Many people will know, and some people will not know, that I started my career in education. I've taught at both public senior schools. I've taught 3 years at Cedar Bridge Academy. I started my career there. Alongside many of the educators of which you speak of and use as reference points on your show. So I'm very blessed to have been able to work alongside them and learn from them. And then I spent 12 years at my alma mater, the Berkeley Institute. So yeah, I did spend 15 years in education, high school education, got my formal training before that. So if you want to add that, there's a few more years. So I guess that would be a true statement. We must remember that I am a member of the cabinet. I take the oath of collective responsibility very seriously. So when education matters do come across the cabinet table, and you know that I'm not at liberty to talk about any discussions at that table, I can tell you that all cabinet ministers take this topic very, very seriously. So the fact that I'm an educator, I don't think makes me any more qualified than anyone. But beyond that, we all have interest in education. I particularly have 2 children in public education, one at Harrington Sound, one at Berkeley. So like every parent and every member of society, it is very important. And I have confidence. I have confidence in my colleague that we will take education to where it needs to go. It's not a short-term fix, but if we're moving the direction that collectively we all wish to see education go, I think this country would be better for it. And I tell everyone, I'll finish this part of this segment with this. I tell everyone the only reason that I come to work every day is to serve. I'm elected in Pembroke East, and I represent that group of individuals. But as a government minister who has taken the oath of collective responsibility, I take the matter of service very seriously.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing that. I think that actually provides a bit of context on a number of things we discussed in a couple of days. Cabinet, number 1. 2, ensuring people knew that Charles was actually accurate in your background.
Yes, Charles, you are accurate. I am an educator. You say once an educator, always an educator. So
I wasn't questioning you, Brother Charles. I wasn't questioning you. But let's hop into today's discussion, because the ministry you actually oversee, for some reason, never escapes scrutiny. Right? Whether it's transport, tourism, it just doesn't escape scrutiny. And the latest is the recent controversies involving a taxi cab driver and then a minibus driver this week, which have generated significant public discussion. Now, how concerned is your ministry about these 2 incidents and their impact on public confidence?
Well, I can tell you this. As you have alluded to, I do carry the portfolio of tourism as well. So you've heard me in recent months talk about the importance of transport, the importance of getting people to move from one place to the other. But when it comes to tourism as well, you want to always, no matter what product we are putting out in Bermuda, you want to make sure that the product is acceptable and something that people will tell a good story of Bermuda when they go away. A funny story that I have is whenever I see a tourist, I say, hey, is this your first time to Bermuda? They may say yes, they may say no. I will give them my card. I say, listen, what I would like from you is honest feedback. I said, when you get back, if you have a chance, please write this email and let me know 5 things that you loved about Bermuda and 5 things that we could possibly do better. And while, not everyone that I give my card to responds, I have had some very good responses. On top of that, the Bermuda Tourism Authority do a good job. They have a young man out there, I'm not going to call his name, who his sole job is to get these stats and analyze them and go through what tourists are saying once they leave the island. And it always benefits us as an entire society when these reviews and these surveys are coming back with positive experiences. So to get into the transportation matter, you would know that I've been in the news over the last couple of months discussing transportation quite a bit. And part of those discussions is about the modernization of transportation, because it's a very important part of everybody's life. It's a very important part of tourism. So while we have done work to modernize the transportation industry so that people can get rides when they need to go, it's clear and it's obvious that with the kind of proliferation of social media and everyone having Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp at their fingertips, some of the unpleasant sides of how we sometimes on occasion interact with visitors is shared. And we'll get into that in 1 second. But I'd like to start here by saying, kudos to all of the stakeholders in tourism. Kudos to the public service vehicle operators that are acting in a supportive manner. They are providing professional service, and they are courteous to their their clients. So I want to start by saying, well done to them.
I want to stop you there, because I'm glad you said that, because I want to make a point before anyone just thinks this is negative. The vast majority, and I think the point I want to emphasize that the minister was making, the vast majority of taxi and minibus operators provide excellent service. Let's just be clear. I think that's the point where he was going. But I think from the public, they want to know, how do you balance addressing the actions of a few while recognizing the professionalism of many, which you just did?
Well, the first thing is that, we need to probably do a better job as an entire society of laying out what those expectations are. What do we expect our public service vehicle providers to give us? And like you said, Jamal, most taxi operators, most minibus drivers, and even the rideshare operators that are coming on board understand that providing this public service, they are expected to be professional. They are expected to be courteous. They are expected to be supportive. And overall, what that means, and I'll never forget, one of my first conversations with individuals from the public service vehicle industry was that they feel themselves that they are ambassadors. And that's something that they take a great deal of pride in. You would also know my background many years ago. When I came back from university, I drove taxi for a very long time. And that's how you get the return guest in your vehicle. That's how you get people to dialogue and interact. And if some will say from a different side, if you're doing a great service, that's even how you enhance your business, whether it be repeat customers, whether it be tips and the like. But your question to me was, how do we balance that? And the reality is that there are procedures in place. Taxi operators, minibuses, as well as rideshare operators fall under the regulations that they have. The regulations are different. And I will admit that because these are the regulations that we most recently done, the ones that actually have the most teeth and the ones that are the clearest as to how we deal with unprofessional behavior actually sits in the rideshare regulations, because you would have known we would have just done that. But we are in the process of looking at the regulations of minibuses. We are in the process of looking at regulations of taxi drivers, so that if we need to make tweaks, we will. But there is currently a process in place where complaints against drivers that are not adhering to the proper code of conduct can be addressed.
And what does that look like? Like for those who are tuned in right now, they experience poor service or witness inappropriate behavior, maybe to a visitor. What is the proper process for filing a complaint, and what information should they provide to help with an investigation? Because right now, while there's something at a local store, people just run to like social media nowadays. They don't necessarily go through the proper channels, mainly because some don't know what they are.
Well, the issue is that in all procedures like this, investigations, you have to go through proper processes. And the reason you have to do that is so that you can get every side of the story. You can make sure that you have all of the details. So when you do move, if we move to a consequence stage, that the individual who is the accusation is against can get a fair trial. So it's kind of done very much like a court system. First and foremost, you need to reach out to the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. They are the board appointed by myself, the minister, and they meet twice a month, and they discuss all matters of public service vehicles. If you would like to be approved as a taxi driver, that's the board that your application goes to. If you want to be approved as a rideshare operator, that's the board that it goes to. Same with a minibus operator, that is the board that it goes to. So they have the oversight of public service vehicle licenses. So in the instance, and I'll take the example that everyone has seen recently. And an example of that, I mean, I must have gotten that video probably 10 times, at least. I stopped counting, but it kept coming. And every time it kept coming, it said, yes, I've seen it and we are looking into it. When I got back to the office, I think it was after the weekend, the first thing I did is say, well, what is the process? Where are we with this? And unfortunately, when I ask these questions, a lot of times the answer is, we are waiting for an official complaint. And what does an official complaint mean? Official complaint is that someone has to write in to the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. So it's psvlb@gov.bm. They must write in and say, I would like to launch an official complaint against driver X or describe the incident that happens. What will happen? A traffic officer will reach out. They will respond. Not everyone is comfortable writing letters, and that's fine. They will bring you in. They will interview you. They will say, give us all the details. And then that case will be then presented to the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. It is at that point that the body will, if it's a severe case, they will bring the individual in. They will interview them and they will issue consequences, because there are consequences such as suspension of licenses and even as far as revocation of actual permits, believe it or not. So we would know that in this society, many individuals rent a taxi from someone. Many individuals are renting a minibus from someone. And I can tell you this, that the owner of the minibus in question in the most recent post that is going on has been contacted by TCD and said, hey, listen, this is your vehicle. What is your initial thoughts on this? And we are going through the process as to how we will deal with that. But what we're not trying to do, we're not trying to take an owner, a taxi driver owner, and punish them for the indications or the actions of their driver. But I can tell you this, that they are part of the process.
I want to go to the audience, and audience, you can send questions and comments. I'll do my best to get through them. I think this is a really important question because the general public do not know this, right? Dorian's asking, what are the credentials needed to become a taxi or minibus operator?
What are the credentials? So, as I said, I will start going backwards. The regulations of a rideshare operator are extremely clear. They are clear. And right now, the regulations and the code of conduct of taxi operators as well as minibus operators needs to be reviewed. Because right now, the expectation is that you have to deliver professional service. You have to deliver those services in a courteous manner. And you have to make sure that all individuals that ride in your vehicle feel respected, valued, and appropriately assisted. So that is kind of like the loose definition of what is expected of a taxi driver. There are background checks that are done on every applicant that comes in for a public service vehicle licensing board. And I can tell you, there are individuals from the public that have said to me on the street sometimes, well, Minister, I think you might need to review that process, or the board needs to review that process, because I know of individual X, Y, and Z who I believe, but they believe should not be driving a public service vehicle. But unfortunately, Jamal, where I started is that a lot of these discussions happen as far as hearsay. A lot of these discussions are done, at water coolers we call this, when I used to drive, we used to call it the Taxi Gazette. But very few complaints actually come through a formalized process. And I can tell you that the ones that do come, they are investigated by the board. And then the individual has the right to appeal to the higher courts. And that has been done before in the past.
All righty. We've got another question from the audience. 911 Island Girl says, Public service vehicle licenses are a privilege. Why aren't licenses revoked pending investigation of these matters? Drivers are still allowed to drive. Also, who is monitoring dress code and vehicle standards?
Well, I'll start again backwards on here. Vehicle standards are monitored every single 6 months. The expectation is public service vehicles come to TCD for examination every 6 months. They're relicensed and registered every year, but there is, piece that they have to come more than the average car. So the standards of the vehicle are checked at TCD at those incidents. That's mainly for safety. But we do have a very capable team of traffic officers. And you would see, if anyone goes to Horseshoe Bay regularly, or if you're in the dockyard area, we will see that our traffic enforcement officers do go and they check the standards of the public service vehicle license drivers. But like anything, I mean, we would like to catch every single speeder on this island. We would like to catch every single individual that is breaking the law. But sometimes we're unable to catch every single infraction. And that is where it is necessary for the public to say, hey, you know what? I saw this particular driver driving this particular vehicle. This was the number. Can you please look into that? And that is something that the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board will definitely do. But it's incumbent on all of us to help everyone to raise the standards. And I can say kudos to other organizations. I'm not going to call them by name, but while we are still going through our investigative process for some of the matters of which you've mentioned, I can tell you that there are some hotel establishments that have told certain drivers, you are not allowed to operate out of this yard anymore because of a complaint that you have. I know that there's a Quango in a certain part of the island that they have taken a stand against taxi drivers who are not upholding the standards that they expect. I know that I've been in conversations with the president of Skyport, and they, on many instances, have their own sets of regulations that they go through down at the airport. So it's again, I started talking about collective responsibility when it comes to the cabinet, but it's also a collective responsibility as us as the public to say, hey, TCD, Mr. Minister, these are some things that we see that don't look right. And those are conversations that I am happy to have directly, because I know I've shared with others that there are conversations that I've actually gotten into GP12 and taken a drive and saying, we need to have a conversation. Word on the street is that you are not upholding the standards of a public service vehicle license. And sometimes as the minister responsible, yes, there are processes, but those are the conversations that we can have directly with people in our community. Say, this is why the standards are important, and this is why I need you. I expect you to uphold and follow those standards. So it's while there is a formal process, there are things that I can do as a minister. There are things that the traffic officers can do, and there are things that the public can do to make sure that these standards are upheld.
Okay. Sherilyn Pringle, 1500 says, traffic officers work 9 to 5. Allegedly, with the introduction of rideshare, those hours are supposed to change to meet the need for enforcement outside of these hours. Can you update us on that?
Yeah, that's actually not a true statement. Their substantive hours may be 9 to 5, but you will see that traffic officers work weekends, they work holidays. Ask me how I know. A significant part of the budget of this ministry goes to providing overtime for traffic enforcement. So we do have regulations in place where our traffic officers are out at times outside of 9 to 5 hours that they are required. And as far as the additional traffic enforcement officers, absolutely. Hiring in government is not something that takes place overnight, but it is something that it is a process. And when those traffic officers are out to do the later hours, I think Ms. Pringle may be talking about what I used to call when I drive taxi, the graveyard shift. You should see those come very shortly.
All righty. We've got a couple of questions on Instagram. KPA Bascom says, I don't think it's about tourism. I think it's about the character of some Bermudians, which spills over into their daily lives, jobs, and interactions. And then Made Movement BDA said, could there be an immediate ranking system online of some sort that rank drivers and experiences like how the banks have surveys after a call? Well, that's interesting because there's also like if you do ride share in the US, you can rate your drivers and stuff like that on an app or something. But I think a rankings thing is pretty interesting. Thoughts on it?
Yeah, we have actually had conversations. I cannot remember which body it was, but of going towards putting a simple, like I see it up in the corner of your screen, a QR code, right? So we'll put a QR code in vehicles because not everyone is going to go on an email and write a complaint. But if we have a set form that is already on the QR code and we can send that far and wide, I think that will be a start as far as improving the process. Well, I admit that the process may be a little cumbersome for people to officially complain or give feedback. But as you said, and as we started here, that feedback is going to help both ways. That feedback is going to help us get data as to who is providing exceptional service, who are our to say number one ambassadors. And I don't know if it's the Department of Tourism. I'm not sure if the BTA still do it, but there used to be ambassador awards programs every year, where they used to give different stars and different awards for individuals in different categories in the tourism industry. So I did hear one of your listeners say that it's not necessarily a tourism concern. And I know I was not saying that, but I know that this most recent complaint did come from a tourist. So that's why I kind of started there. But yeah, we do have an exam that individuals that want to be public service vehicle license holders have to take. So they do have to come and take in an exam. There is a vetting process that goes through the Bermuda Police Service, and we come back and vetting. Some people will say, well, I know that this individual had a conviction many years ago. I'm not here to get into the legalities of how long something like that stays on your record, but we do go through the process of vetting. And I have emails. I have emails from individuals who write to me directly and say, Minister, I applied to be a public service vehicle license holder and I was denied. Can you please tell me why? I will look into it, and the response that comes to me, and we don't make this public, they will say, well, Minister, they were unable to go through the proper police vetting process.
All right. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, thank you for being accessible and hands-on with your ministry. Is there a process where your department can refer infractions to the board rather than having to wait for an official complaint?
I smile because I wonder if Dr. Anthony Richardson was actually in my meetings yesterday. That was a meeting that I have. I have met with, in full transparency, I've met with the chair as recently as yesterday of the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. I have met with the director of TCD, and I asked that direct question. I said, if it is now on social media and we can clearly see what the infraction is, surely maybe a public officer in the transport section or the traffic section could prepare that complaint or report to the board. But I did also have a conversation with Chambers and the Attorney General, and we have to be very careful as to what the proper legal process is. So we are looking into that, Dr. Richardson. So I'm not at liberty right now to say one way or the other, but we don't want to kind of overstep the processes that are currently in place, and then the individual I'll use a term, gets off because proper process was not followed. So we are looking at that. But this is to assure you and your listening public, Jamal, that yes, I as you talked about someone earlier sitting down because they are one of you. I see it, I hear it, I understand the frustration, and it is truly disappointing when that I open up my WhatsApp and I see those type of exchanges, and those are the ones that are captured. But unfortunately, there are stories where public service vehicle license holders are doing all that they can to make sure that individuals make it back to their ship on time. They're doing all that they can to return lost items, all that they can in some instances to get unaccompanied minors from one location to the other. So those are the stories that would not be told. But I know the question asked of me this morning is simply, what do I feel about it? What do we here at the Department of Transport think about it? And what steps are we taking to strengthen some of these code of conduct regulations that we have in place?
Let's go back to the audience. 9/11 Island Girl says many people are fearful that drivers know where they live and therefore won't report. So with picture and video evidence, why is an official report necessary? Rude is rude, regardless of all the details.
I think I've explained that question a minute ago. I understand the frustration because I was there. Well, why do we need this official process if it's right in front of you? But you know, as in any court of law, and I'm not a lawyer, so I will say that, but you know, there's always something that may have happened prior to the video. There may be some mitigating factors that we're unaware of. And I know that may sound like I'm trying to be flippant. I'm not. It is something that we want to get right so that, I can tell you this, there are also cases where drivers have been brought in front of the Public Service Licensing Board. They've made a ruling. The person has appealed that ruling to the magistrate's court, and magistrate court has thrown the ruling of the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board out. And they've thrown it out to say, well, this person was not given proper process. You know, this hearing was done on hearsay and gossip. And we can get into a whole different discussion as to what social media evidence, if that is considered hearsay, gossip, or.
I think to be fair, I think to be fair, I just want to add to that. Not necessarily an agreement, but a response to that is very simple. It's like the many cases throughout the world, or at least the developed world, where cases can't move forward without formal witness help, right? Without the victims' help. So I think that's what I'm getting from this, is that a video is not enough evidence. And I mean, if you've ever watched a court case, you would understand that it's going to be another side to whether you agree with that or not. That's neither here or there. But there's legal things that I'm not a lawyer. We're not lawyers, but it's more to it than just believing that what you see is the end going to lead to the end result that we may want to see.
If I may, Jamal, I do have a note right here that you know, I asked the traffic officers to prepare for me, and I'll read it verbatim what it says. It says, a problem that we often encounter is that many people that complain do not submit their complaints in writing, and even furthermore, they do not want to assist in the proceedings by attending the hearing. So it's important that the board receives evidence from the complainant to ensure that the information received is not hearsay evidence, because as you would know, that type of evidence is not accepted in the proper course of justice. So there are times where we may even get, you know, somebody call in and say, you know, this happened to me, and they say, yes, please come in. We would like to have a discussion with you. We'd like to, you know, have you sign this paper or whatever it is, and the individual just doesn't show up.
Mm-hmm. I got a question. Is the no disrespect to you, but is the chairman of the Public Service Vehicle Board, or is the director of TCD allowed to speak publicly in this setting to engage people as well, or is that something that's not allowed throughout the public service?
Well, typically, public officers do not make statements to the media. Typically, I mean, I know you have seen cases where they are, but you know, that will come from the head of public service as to how that goes. But in this instance, I don't think the director of TCD will make a direct statement on this. You know, that's my job. And also,
no, I just want to. I only mention that because I think that you know, people want to hear from the directors or the chairman as well. And I think once you remove the politics, people may be a bit more receptive, because I think sometimes our opinions or perspectives or our responses or attitudes are shaped by the politics of it all. Because when you speak, let's be honest, people see a politician, right? They're not seeing, they're not looking past that at times. So that's why I only ask, like, maybe you know, if we brought the director on, or the chairman, let's see how they're able to engage, and if they can build some trust between the public and the public vehicle. Trust me, I appreciate. I'm grateful for you making time. I just wonder if people would be a bit more receptive. That's all.
Well, I'll tell you this. There is something that we also talked about yesterday in our internal meetings, is that we need to do more of a public service campaign. And when we do that public service campaign, you may see in that instance that the information will come directly from possibly the traffic enforcement officers, possibly the director of TCD, and possibly some members of the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. So at the appropriate time, we will engage some communication strategies where you will hear directly from them. But in this instance, I know that, at your request, at the request of others, it's Minister, what is the government doing? Minister, what is the policy objectives going forward to prevent this from happening in the future? And we may not be able to stamp it all out, but now if individuals know that there are severe consequences that when it comes to suspension of licenses, and the next step is going to be holding their bosses accountable. We are looking at all measures to make sure that the experience of all users, whether it be locals or visitors, is one that everyone feels safe with and comfortable with.
Indeed. Couple more questions from the audience for you, Minister. We've got Manuel is asking, is a traffic officer obligated to report a complaint brought to their attention while on duty?
That should be the process. I mean, the traffic officer should send that up to the senior traffic officer, and the senior traffic officer is the one that will put it in front of the board. Now, let me be clear. Not every single complaint warrants the board to get involved. It may be a situation where if it's a very minor infraction, the traffic officer, senior traffic officer, or the director of TCD will bring that individual in and have a conversation directly. But more severe cases where investigation is needed and more information is needed, that should be from the traffic officer be sent through the proper channels to get to the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. Yes.
Indeed. I got to let you run. I know you're giving us some of your free time today, but folks, if you're going to write comments on this show, please make them short. This is why we don't do phone calls, because it's really not about individuals. So Ricky Talk, I can put up your entire comment. It's just too much and it stops. But what I'll read is Ricky Talker says, I wish the truth was told, because the reality is that when people write in to complain, nothing is done. I hear it from the complainant all the time. People have no confidence because they know when they complain, their complaints are not confidential. Taxi drivers do a good job, but they are always put down. But the problem lies within the enforcement from the minister's department, allowing people into the industry who have criminal records and are not suitable to be driving public service, and it stops there. No response to that? Nothing? Nope.
No response.
Okay. And then we have, I'll end it with, two more. Sherilyn Pringle says, visitors are here for a short while and don't want to spend their vacation filing a complaint. Locals are hesitant to go through the process, so much of the complaints only show up on social media. And then I'll end it with Shamari Sky says, is the minister saying that rideshare operator regulation is at a higher standard than taxi regulation? If so, what's the difference? What is he speaking and about specifically, meaning dress code?
Yeah, there are some regulations that have been put in the rideshare that are more stringent than the current regulations that we have for other public service vehicle license. And I acknowledge that from the beginning. And I also did say from the beginning is that this is a process that we are currently undertaking to bring some of the regulations and some of the codes up to a modernized level. You have to understand that there are some things that happened when these first regulations were written many, many years ago that were not, social issues at the time. Things like, telephone, cell phone use or things of that nature. So the individual that sent a comment or the question is absolutely right. Because the rideshare legislation is the most modern legislation regulating public service vehicle holders, it will be a little different, and it will have, more stringent matters, and it's something that we are currently addressing.
All righty. Minister, before you head out, look, this is something, and I thank you for making time on very short notice. First off, really appreciate you always making time. These conversations over the last week are of great concern. And I want to say this because I think people have to understand this is not just about a tourism thing. This is a customer service issue overall. Social media I have a love-hate relationship with it. We are on various social media platforms right now. But it drives engagement, it drives conversation, and it actually gives the opportunity for more people to share their experiences. So I don't think necessarily it's a bad thing. However, I think the problem we face is people don't trust the process. As people don't trust the process, how do we change that? How do we regain the confidence of the public to go through an actual process and be honest? Like, it may take a while, right? Court cases take years to get to trial sometimes, right? Like, how do you build that trust with the people to get them to understand that the process is the best way to go?
Absolutely. And that is, I think some of your comments that came in recently is, we are very much aware that individuals, and I think, some individuals were saying the exact same thing that I said. I didn't come on here to get into the reasons why people do not send in complaints. I'm just giving you the facts that there are some very public incidences that people would expect that we know the details of, and we know every single detail that we don't. And we're working on looking at all avenues. I can tell you that the last couple of days, we've had multiple meetings on this, and some actions, some changes will be done swiftly. Some things we can make policy changes, which will happen immediately, and some things would have to be legislative changes, will take a little bit of time. So while I do appreciate the comments of everyone, I appreciate individuals, firsthand knowledge. There is always more that we can all do. There are some taxi operators that may see individuals every single day. Send in the number, send in a picture. Maybe that is a function that some of the other organizations can do. And I've said that in private conversations as well. That hey, there's nothing that stops everyone to assist us in getting the service and the operators to a level that majority of them are operating at.
One last comment from thedailyhour.com. David DeMont, I think it's pronounced. DeMont, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. Says, good morning. How many incomplete videos have we seen played in public forum in other places that show somewhat less than the entire picture? The Honorable Minister is right. Due process applies to all. On that note, Minister, what would you like to leave the people with this morning? Again, unfortunately, we're going to see more of this. It's not just Bermuda. It happens. I've had a ride share recently where this guy didn't open the trunk for me. He didn't get out. When I got in, didn't address me. I went straight. And I'm a guy who gives 5 stars all the time.
Wait, can we be clear? This was a ride share in which jurisdiction?
U.S. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
My apologies. Bermuda's got ride share now. Sorry, my apologies. Let me be clear. And for me, I'm not writing no complaint to the rideshare company. I just felt, you know what? They gave me the control to actually how much I want to tip this person and what grade I do. I looked at my stats the other day. I've taken hundreds of ride shares in the last 10 years. And out of those hundreds, I should say, probably only 3 people haven't gotten 5 stars from me. I think those are the options people need. I think that's what people are saying. And I appreciate the QR code that you mentioned. It puts it in our hands as to how this person is received. No, I felt bad. One, I'm like, maybe I'm the problem. Why? Because the driver had 5 stars, right? So I'm like, well, this person's a perfect driver. Why the issue with me? It was early. He probably just had a bad day. You don't know what people are going through. But I say that because regardless of what you're going through, someone said it earlier, bringing your problems to work is never the solution. Ensuring that people have to feel what you feel is never the solution. But I do think that, again, this is not me taking the minister's side. I appreciate the QR code option. I think that should give us the control to give feedback, direct feedback. If you've taken a ride share, you understand the importance of it. BTOA does say all the taxi apps in Bermuda have rating systems. The problem with that is ride share is at base. Taxi apps not necessarily at base. I could go hail a taxi and not have to use an app. That's the difference I'm speaking of. BTOA. So anyway, Mr. Any final words to the people before you head out?
I do appreciate, like I said, the individuals that have reached out directly to me. There's people that I consider my friends. There's people that I consider supporters, and those individuals that may not. They have reached out and said, hey, we've seen this as an issue. We want to make you aware. And I say thank you very much. I want to say thank you to the stakeholders in the industry that have reached out to me, because there have been a couple. I've mentioned some by name that has reached out and said, hey, we want to be aligned with you as to how we tackle this problem. Because while we would have seen a minibus operator maybe at Horseshoe Bay and up at Dockyard last week, maybe there's some issues that happen in St. George's. Maybe some issues that happen at the airport. Maybe there's some issues that happen outside of City Hall. But I want to say thank you for everyone that has taken the opportunity to say, hey, try this or try that. And I can tell you, I can rest assured that any negative publicity when it comes to not only Bermuda as a tourist destination, but also as a destination that does a good job of modernizing how we move our individuals, residents and visitors alike, is something that we're going to continue to work to improve. So I appreciate the support. I also appreciate individuals that continue to raise some issues that have been longstanding issues. And it is my job, it is my role as a leader of this ministry to continue to look for solutions that will best serve the public and bring positive outcomes.
I'm not going to ask the question. I had one in the audience, and I had it in my questions to ask about professional standards and training, and that's another discussion. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot this morning, but I still do have a lot of questions. But I'm grateful that you've shared what you shared, because now I go back to my drawing board and figure some things out. So, Minister, thank you so much, and all the best with the boys from Harris Bay later this month.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamal. Appreciate you, and thank you to your listeners.
No problem. Have a good one. All right. Minister of Tourism, Transport, Culture, and Sport, the Honorable Owen Darrell. Folks, if you appreciated the discussion, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. I appreciate what the minister had to. We're gonna go to break. Come back. I'm gonna give you my final thoughts on what I believe or what I feel about the process, about training standards, what some may feel is inconsistency with minibuses versus taxi drivers. I have never had a bad experience in a cab in Bermuda, but I know it's not about me. Let's stick with us. We'll come back after this short break, and we'll close out the conversation for today. Stick with us.
Children love to play and have fun, and they love gifts even more, especially ones that they can enjoy and learn from. With Bermuda Trivia coloring books, kids can explore the island while they color, learn, and create. The perfect activity for fun and learning together. Available now.
Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms to learn more.
Yeah, I don't got this. I'm gonna be fast at delivery and run.
Oh, really? Don't pay me enough for that,
Oh, no, sugar! Okay, who's the faster? Who's the faster than me? Talk to me. No more stress. Just sit back.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Bermuda, there's nothing like a home-cooked meal, especially when you can feed the whole family without stretching your wallet. With the affordable Bermuda basket, you'll find savings on everyday staples like rice, chicken, corn, and more. Everything you need to make a good meal for less. Shop the Bermuda basket at Lindo's, Marketplace, the Garden Market, and the English Market. Visit costofliving.gov.bm to see the full list of goods and start planning your meals. This is a message from the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Life moves fast, and so can the unexpected. When you insure your home, you need to know that your insurance company has your back. At Friesenbrook, let one of our friendly and professional agents give you that peace of mind. Because when you are covered, you are confident. Call us at 296-3600 or visit friesenbrook.bm to learn more.
Guess what? Bermuda's most popular game is back. That's right, Shoe Buy is back in stores. But wait, there's more. The brand new Shoe Buy Summer Edition is here too. Bring the laughs, the vibes, the friendly chaos to your barbecues and summer get-togethers with Bermuda's favorite game. Don't miss your chance to get yours. Visit BermudaTrivia.com and follow Bermuda Trivia on social media to learn more.
One lucky box in the summer edition has a golden ticket with the chance to win a grand prize courtesy of One Communications.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to the Minister of Tourism, Transport, Culture, and Sport, the Honorable Owen Darrell, for stopping by. Again, always a fantastic conversation when things are happening like that in our community. I want to give a big shout out to our partners, the BAC group of companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, it is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it's a name that plays, folks. Are you ready? Here we go. We're going around the world with this one. What nation borders China to its south? No, Mark Arthur, it is not North Korea. It's not North Korea. Anyone else? What nation borders China to its south? No, it's not Vietnam. It's not India. It's not Nepal. No. It's not Russia. Russia is to the north, I believe. Yeah. Well, according to the national history, the nation that borders China to its south is Mongolia. Mongolia. All right. No one came out a winner today, and that's okay. All right, folks, let's wrap it up. As far as the discussion this morning regarding the Honorable Minister of Education, Deella Rabane, I'll say this much. You know, at the end of the day, I think all of us want a better education system. What better represents seems to be subjective. I think what we want is to ensure that all children have an opportunity to succeed in whatever that success looks like. We don't seem to have confidence in the current minister who's been reappointed. But I want to go out on a limb and say, let's give him a chance to correct what many feel went wrong his first time around. Again, maybe I'm being naive, but I'm hopeful. I believe that when people are given second chances, they would be fools to do the exact same thing over. And I'm hopeful that this minister is no fool. As far as the conversation with the Honorable Minister Owen Darrell this morning, I think there are some inconsistencies in standards with maybe the minibus versus rideshare versus taxis. And I think it would do the Public Service Vehicle License Board well to correct this. I believe that the same way that people if you get a technological certificate, like a technology certificate in, let's say, IT or a Microsoft or Cisco, you have to upgrade that every few years. If you're a CPA accountant, you have to upgrade that every few years, I believe. So I believe there should be a customer service certificate in Bermuda. And I know you're saying, oh, you're adding something else, but something that those serving the public should have to go through. And it should have to be updated with more training. And that training could be just a 1-hour class every 3 to 5 years. Why? Because the world changes. And the standards of yesterday are different today. Like, how do, we need to get people in the mindset that they're always being recorded and how to respond to things. BTOA said it has been asked to be done for years. And, it's not just about talking about it. If that's the case, we need to put the pressure on to ensure that it's executed. But we need to have some sort of certification across the board that requires professional training every few years. That's what I got from today's conversation. But bigger than that, we as Bermudians and adults have to take some accountability instead of always looking to those who are supposed to enforce stuff. At the end of the day, grown adults have got to behave like they have some sense. And if they can't, then there have to be consequences. They have to be enforced. And the people need to ensure that they are. All right, folks, I got to give you some daily inspiration today. Let's see. I'll give you this. This is from my book, The Journey Within. It's very short and it's sweet, and I'll dedicate this to the Public Service Vehicles Board this morning. Quote, communication is great, but clarity is key, end quote. Communicating information to people is all fine and dandy, but you have to be clear with the information that you're communicating with them. All right, folks, let's let you go. Don't forget the Christmas in July promotion begins on Monday. All right. Christmas in July begins on Monday. All right. We are, rewarding you and thanking you. So we've teamed up with Bermuda Trivia, People's Pharmacy, Linda's Auto Solutions, and Bermuda Pest Control, among others. It's easy to win. All you have to do is tune in every day, listen for our Christmas in July hashtag, then post it in the comments for your chance to win. We're giving away gift cards, vouchers, trivia games, car washes. We're giving away some stuff. So you want to make sure you tune in, you listen, you comment, and you win. All right. Only on the daily hour starting on Monday. All right. You do not want to miss it. All righty, folks. Well, it's that time. I got to let you go. So do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House, Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izelle. Peace.